Today we're going to be talking about the information age, its development, and the impact on our lives. The information age started around 1950 when Vermont writer, a famous American poet, called for the expansion of libraries in 1945. Writer advocated for replacing printed works with microform photographs so that they can be copied easier. This would help lead to other innovations in the future, such as the printer, computer, and ultimately the internet. The internet is probably the most prominent invention of the information age because it has rapidly changed the world we know today. The internet has changed the way we get our news, the way we communicate with each other, and how we live our lives in general. The internet greatly eased the ability to get information because prior to the invention of the internet, people would get their news from newspapers and get their information from books, and communication was much slower compared to today. The internet was inspired to be what it is today because people wanted to be able to live their lives easier. That would eventually lead to the construction of the VIC-20, the first home computer, but it was mainly used for solving math equations. Originally, the internet was constructed in the 1960s by the US government to build a communication network among computer networks. This form of the internet would eventually be called ARPANET, Advanced Research Project Agency Network for short. ARPANET was finally built in 1969, and it was mainly used by the US military, and it was originally speculated to be a computer network supposed to survive a nuclear attack, even though the US government denied saying that, and it was meant to be for research purposes, supposedly. So to be clear, Al Gore did not invent the internet. It eventually became a network for sharing resources between several universities, but people wanted to be able to communicate with each other easier, and that led to the VIC-20 being hooked up to computer networks. In the 1980s, ARPANET was handed over to another military network by the name of the NSFNet, but that would eventually recede into the depths of the internet. However, something else would rise to take its place, the bulletin board system. It was considered to be the early internet. The bulletin board system allowed for people to upload or download software, exchange messages through email, public message boards, and play games, and among other things. The system operated on a system called dial-up, and it was connected to phone lines, which allowed The system operated on a system called dial-up, and it was connected to the phone lines, which allowed it to connect to the bulletin board system, but could only operate as fast as the phone lines were, and by today's standards, they were slow. Dial-up will continue into the mid-1990s to the early 2000s when companies started making their mark on the internet. Businesses started creating search engines, and social networks like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter were created, which created more business for the economy. This allowed for news and information to be accessed much faster and easier than in previous years. The creation of a wireless network also allowed the internet connection to be much faster, and that's how the modern internet came to be. The internet improved life because of that. It impacted social life because it allowed people to communicate easier and faster than in previous years. Politics also planted a flag on the internet, which politicians used the internet to reach out to potential voters and to advance their agenda. The internet also had some cultural influences on society as well. The creation of memes, or funny pictures with captions, became a huge part in the last few years, and the horror stories such as Slender Man also popped up, inspiring games and other content. That wraps up my project, and I hope you enjoyed it.